Hello, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome to Live from the Data Den. This is going to be my weekly show, streaming across LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube. I hope you can join me as much as you can. You're in for a great time. Every week it will be either a data or a procurement or a mental health topic or something relevant, and each week we'll mix it up. But today I thought, you know what, it's the first day back. We're all feeling a bit flat. It's probably been a really long day, so let's just have some fun. So I've brought some of my buddies along. We're going to have a wee chat and we're going to have a little bit of some fun and games, and we'll take some questions for you guys too. So let me just introduce first whoever's on there, and it's Ravi. So hi Ravi, Happy New Year.
Hello, Happy New Year everyone, and it's an amazing show already. I could see the intro coming in with all the rap and the dance, so happy to be here. Thanks for getting me in. Yes.
Thanks. Why not tell everyone a little bit about yourself if they don't already know?
Okay, so I'm the host of the Ravit Show, and I do a similar show what Suzanne is here proposing, and I do actually interview the folks who are making some strides in the data community, and not just sticking back to data community, but anyone who wants to share, who have made some good strides in their journey. So I would like to explore them, and I closely work with the Pact authors and the community manager at Pact, and I make sure that the book is amplified at a global level. So if you have an idea to write a book, if you have already published your book with Pact, I'm your man. Yes.
You are a busy man. You're always online. I don't know how you sleep. Let's bring in our next gentleman, and it's Andrew Jones. Hello. Happy New Year.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you. You know how the weather is in London here, Susan, so I don't need to tell you about that.
Yeah, and it's really dark as well. Really dark.
Yes, it's 4 o'clock, so it's pitch black outside. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little about yourself as well.
Cool. So yeah, I'm Andrew Jones. I am a data scientist. I full time at the moment. I run Data Science Infinity, which is a data science learning program, and it centers all around 3 pillars essentially. So learning the right content, which is based on me talking to hundreds of leaders, hiring managers, and recruiters in the field, and understanding exactly what it is that makes a great data scientist. Learning in the right way with a focus on intuition and application and understanding rather than complexity, because that breeds a really strong skill in data scientists. And then I offer unlimited guidance and support around your whole data science journey. So offering something that essentially nobody else offers. I want you to succeed. I want you to meet your goals, and I want to be there for the whole journey. So that is what I do full time. And I love it.
I think that the whole group wants to do that. That's great. So next we'll bring on our Canadian friend. It's George. Hi, George.
Everybody,
Hey, George.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How's everybody doing?
If we don't know, well, I can't imagine there's not many people that don't know you, but introduce yourself.
That's too kind, Susan. So I'm George Ferican. I'm basically your data governance guy, as well as data management. So I do like to provide insightful content in forms of videos and articles and templates on my lightsondata.com. I'm also providing courses that you can check them out, and I'm also the co-host of the Good Data Morning Show.
Yeah, and I've been on that as well. So great show.
You have.
You've had some fabulous guests. Actually, Ravit has as well. So yeah,
I'm definitely very lucky with that.
A lot to live up to here. So I'm going to bring on my next guest, all the way from Scotland. It's Eddie. Hi Eddie. How are you?
Hi, Susan. I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Tell us
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So my name is Eddie McGeeky. I run a small company called Seaforth Analytics. We're based in Glasgow. We're a UK-based company. My background is in supply chain, global supply chain. I worked in IBM for a long time, and Lenovo set up a centre of excellence for supply chain analytics. And since 2015, have been working ourselves, working with some of the Fortune 500 companies, putting in place some data governance, some basically data solutions around MDM, around spend analytics, around basically data, actually. My whole career, although I'm a procurement guy and a supply chain guy, my whole career has been driven by data. And that was a common theme that I found throughout my time. So that's me.
Thanks very much. So first of all, Scott Taylor's watching. So hi, Scott. Scott will
Hey,
be on
Scott.
just as a wee tease. And thanks very much, all of you. So first of all, what did you think of my little intro?
Loved it.
Susan, I've got an idea for you. Carpool karaoke next.
Yeah. Oh no, but we wouldn't be allowed to be in the same car together.
No, but you can
different
edit
cars.
You can edit it.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you stay on to the end, I've got an outro as well, which is different. So that's something to keep you hooked for as well. So, did you guys have a nice break? Did you take a break? Did you relax? Are you refreshed for the new year ahead?
I was busier than normal. I ran, I saw, you may or may not have seen, I ran a scholarship for Data Science Infinity.
Yes.
And I got like 900 people apply for it, which is awesome. So
Phenomenal.
cool. So cool. And there were so many amazing ones. So it covered people from 57 different countries around the world. And there were some incredible applications, people that have been affected very heavily this year, people that could, in no other way get onto the program because of their situation or where they live. And there was a lot of work I had to go through and do that after Christmas. It closed on Christmas Eve. So from the 26th, 27th onwards, I had to go through all of those applications and I had to try and pick one, which I have picked, and I will announce that tomorrow. But it was a very awful process of having to just pick one. So
that's really tough, especially with that number, but you're doing a great thing. Russell, I love this. He said if we have any more people on here, it might end up looking like celebrity squares. Maybe that's a whole new thing that we could create.
Yeah.
How about you, Eddie? Did you manage to get a wee chance to rest?
I had a good bit of time off, but I never sort of relaxed, as you know yourself.
Yeah, you never do.
Constantly thinking of new things to do. We've developed a tool called Accelerated Insight using machine learning, using some other techniques that I won't go into here, but basically it's a secret sauce. Don't believe everything about AI, but believe some of it. So
yeah, well, yeah, everyone knows my thoughts on AI generally, but actually, Eddie's got the right attitude and balance. He's not trying to say AI is going to fix all your problems, because it's not going to.
Actually, I had an old boss at Lenovo, a senior vice president, that used to say, "Don't let perfect stand in the way of good."
Yeah.
And for most people, when they're on a journey, going to the end game isn't the right result. You just need to take them on that roadmap, basically.
That's really good advice.
Like Facebook's motto, done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To learn more of that. And actually, George, you are juggling your job and Lights on Data.
I am, yeah. So it was nice to have a break about a week from work and just focus on my latest course, data visualization for data storytelling. So I was glad I was almost able to wrap that up.
Okay, well, we kind of got the full package here. We've got me, who kind of fixes the data. We've got Ravik, who publishes the books about the data. We've got Andrew and George, who do the training, but in different areas. And then we've got Eddie, who's got the tech to complement it. So there you go. A nice round set. Wow. So I'm doing a bit of a theme week next week, as I do every month. And it's going to be around New Year habits and better data habits. So have you guys got any kind of data habit, New Year habits that you would recommend for people watching?
From a data perspective, I would say documentation is very important in everything that you do with data. I feel there's so much knowledge inside of people's heads that, even if they want to do some sort of a data transformation before they want to work with it, or if they want to cleanse it, they don't communicate necessarily the steps that they're taking with their colleagues and why they've done that transformation. So I think like all these little things really add up, and it's great if you do have some sort of a central repository. Start with a data dictionary, ideally have a data catalog, have a business glossary, just to start putting all this stuff in there. Plus then, the processes and procedures that you want to follow on how to best work with data. I think documentation overall is very important.
Yeah, Eddie, I mean, you do a bit of governance too, so is that along the same kind of lines that you would recommend?
Yeah, I've got to hold my hands up here. I do a lot with data, but my approach is slightly maverick, I would say. I don't really stick to any set procedure or rules. Really try to focus on the value for the client, because some people aren't ready for that story, and one, they don't have the budget, and two, they're not really mature enough. So what you need to try and do is just do it in small steps, I would think. That's what I do anyway. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's the approach that I take.
Great. Ravi, any?
Yeah. For me, it's straightforward. I'm a person who would want to give out data insights, and if I'm just not the one who would be giving out the technical stuff, but I might have folks like you, Susanna, maybe George or Andrew Jones on my show, and they'll be spreading out the word about data and what they are making in their stuff. Like if you're talking about the classification guru, what's your stuff and how are you managing data? How are you cleaning the data? You talk about code. Andrew, they will talk about Data Science Infinity and what is he doing in there and how is community actually wanting to know more about data. So that's my thing, where I'll be coming up with books. Obviously, if it's like a packed book, I'll be talking about the author, I'll be talking about those books, I'll be amplifying it to the community. And that's what has been my thing previous year as well, but this year I'm trying to make it more valuable for the folks, for the community, data community, because that's what the problem is. The basic knowledge is somewhere lacking. So if someone can bridge the gap, nothing like it. And I'm just trying to be that person, not that person exactly, but trying my bits. Yes,
you are. I mean, you're in a great position where you kind of dip into all the different parts of data and get to pick out all the kind of best bits. So that's really cool. So you can see the trends and what's coming and what's not. How about you, Andrew?
I've got a bit of a wish for the new year that I hope people would do, which is in the data science community around hiring data scientists. I hope that there's some progress made in terms of how we go about pulling together job descriptions and how the hiring process works. So it's not the case everywhere, but it's still quite common that a job description just lists out every tool and piece of technology that the company has, and a candidate doesn't really know what journey that company's on from a data perspective, and are they the right fit? Should they apply? So there's a lot of inefficiency for both the candidates and even more so for the companies themselves. They're bringing in, they cast the net very wide, but then there's a whole lot of work to try and figure out exactly who fits the bill best. And then, in the interview process, I'm still hearing so many horror stories of candidates going in and being asked to complete some insanely difficult coding task or machine learning question around something that in the role itself would never be used, because they've just got a question off the internet, and they think that's what will decide who the best data scientist is. So my advice is that instead of doing that, just sit down with maybe a member of HR, the hiring manager, and maybe a senior member of the team, and discuss like what's the day-to-day job or a week-to-week, like a week in the life or a day in the life of a data scientist that you need. What does that look like? And then formulate the job description around that. That makes it a lot easier to find the right people. But then it also helps creating the interview questions that you can ask them, which actually align with what it is you want to do in the business. So it's just such a more efficient process. I just hope we see more and more of that in the new year.
We'll get back to that in a bit, but I think I would say maintain your data. That will solve so many problems if you just look after it. Don't just fix it and leave it. If you maintain it throughout the year, then you've got half the problems that you might have.
Susan, can I come in there? One of the things there is ownership of the data. Because most people think someone else owns it.
That's true.
And I think that's another issue. So if you use it, you own it, or you find someone that owns it. Yeah,
great point. But never mind work stuff. What about personally? Do you make New Year's resolutions, or do you not bother? I don't bother because I just break them all. So I just really don't bother.
I never have New Year resolutions. I think maybe just this year it's right around, it's about lights on data stuff, so not personal things, but yeah, no, nothing personal really.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think they're not really resolutions; they're just goals for the year, and mostly they're around my Data Science Infinity course and how I interact with people, and maybe some other things that I want to build into my portfolio of what I'm doing from a business point of view. But they're not really resolutions; they're just goals. And I've learned from people like Kate Strachny to just set stupidly big goals and try and achieve them, because
she is the queen of shooting for the moon and hitting the stars.
Yeah, she told me a couple of her goals the other day. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I better set my goals a bit higher. So yeah, I won't discuss exactly what those goals are, but they're sort of personal goals to me. But that's what I'm sort of looking to aim for this year.
I completely agree with what Andrew says there, because for us it's no more resolutions, because we're sure we won't be able to follow. Rather, goals is something that we look forward to, and we aim that, okay, this is it, and this is what we will make through. And I think that keeps us going in terms of that, okay, if I need 5,000 people subscribe to my channel, that will actually help the community. In the end, it's just about what we are getting. We want to give it back to the community as well in terms of the goals. So yeah.
Eddie, you?
I think there's goals to be set, and I think everybody has goals. In terms of resolutions, I'm not a fan. I think it's more to have a plan. Have a plan is the key. Especially here now that we're in Scotland, we're in full lockdown this afternoon.
That's it,
So again, the COVID situation doesn't really help, but having communities like this and having people identify with each other is one of the things that I want to try and do, and I actually want to try and help some younger talent coming through, because I've got a vast experience of supply chain and supply chain analytics, and because you're working for yourself, I think there's an area there that needs to be tapped into, because it's massive.
Yep, we've got Tom is here. Hi, Tom. Nice to see you.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
It's I just have some goals in my mind, but I am not a vision board or goals on the walls kind of person. I find that I just look right through them and don't even see the thing it's supposed to be, so I don't bother with that. But back to jobs and things. Thinking back, what can you think of, like, the worst interview you've ever been on for a job, or one of the worst?
I could tell you an interview question that I got asked once.
Yeah.
So this was when the Google type questions were really popular, where you ask them the most abstract things. So I got asked. I'm not going to say who the company was, but I got asked. I'll try and remember it. It was, you live on an island. On an island, there's a monster. The monster eats sheep. How many sheep do you need on the island? And so at this point, I was like, I probably don't want to work for this company, because I don't know what. But being from New Zealand and from a rural part of New Zealand, I got heavily into the depths of like paddock rotation and things like that, which clearly wasn't what they wanted. But I just disagree with those types of questions. I don't think they differentiate between a good data scientist or not, and the same for most industries, I think.
Yeah, so because I kind of fell into data, I've never really had a data interview, but I did. I was in sales, so I had things like, "Sell me this pen,"
Oh yeah,
which I failed at epically failed. And then there was another one. It was a group session, and you had to pull an item out of the bag and sell that, and it was just car crash stuff. And then I remember when 3 first launched in the UK, I went for an interview there, and it was like knockout rounds. So throughout the day, people would just like disappear. And I got to like the final and then got knocked out. And I was like, oh. So yeah, had some interesting interviews. Eddie,
I think these are like the stereotype questions, where you need to sell a pen, or maybe where a question that is asked to you is about what is the wall behind you, or maybe how many staircases have you climbed up, and all of those things. I don't know if anyone has faced that. I have faced in some of the interviews where someone asked me, "Do you remember the number of staircases you actually moved up and came here to?" And I'm like, "Sorry." So there's
Wow.
this. Yeah, exactly. And that if you know the real architecture, the standard architecture is for per floor there are 8 stairs or something around that number. And if you're that smart, you crack the interview and all of those things. And this was after the interview. I went and I googled it, and I was like, okay, this was the answer to it. But it's kind of weird sometimes.
Wow. Eddie, any good stories? I bet you've got. Oh, was it the shoes you posted about? Was that it? Or you went to an interview or a meeting, wasn't it?
No. I was working on a project many years ago, and it was a bit stressful, let's put it that way. We're working on some really heavy analytic stuff using dynamic simulations and stuff. I won't go into any of that nonsense because that's for another day. But basically, we were doing scenario planning in a global supply chain. It was really stressful time. The powers that be were bearing upon us for results. And I went into work one day with 2 odd shoes on, and they were identical shoes. The only problem was one was in black and the other one was a tan colour. And I get stopped in a supermarket on the way to work. It's like a mall. And an old lady stopped me and said, "Son," and I looked down. I thought, oh no, my zip's down or something. And she says, "You've got 2 odd shoes on." And I went into the office because it was an hour to drive home to change my shoes. And I never really bothered. And that's nothing to do with interview questions. Most interviews that I've had are, "There's a job we would like you to take," and you say, "Well, what's the alternative?" And they say, "There is none."
Okay.
So, so that was, yeah, take it or leave it. Take it or leave.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw, I posted about my little story driving back from Scotland, and nearly got into the wrong car. This poor woman was sitting and she just looked terrible. And I had my mask on. And I'm going, is this not my car? Is this not my car? I'm so confused because I really thought it was my car. But
out of curiosity, what kind is it?
It was just a black SUV like mine, and so. But it's funny because it's funny the things you notice, because when I went to open the door, I thought, oh, that mud pattern splat looks different to normal. Didn't notice that before. Yeah, so yeah, done that. So let's put it out to everyone watching. If anyone's got any questions, whether it's a data challenge or getting into data or a recruitment challenge, let's see what everyone is wondering about out there. Someone's asked. Oh, here's a good one. I've been asked in an interview, how many buttons does my shirt have? So they're definitely trying to catch you out, I think. I remember once in Guildford, it was a really hot summer and I was running late for an interview that I was trying to pretend I wasn't having. And I got there and I was dripping in sweat. And I got to the interview and I was just like sweating the whole time. And I was trying to fan myself. And that was just, I was like, I'm definitely not getting that job. That did not go well. So the lesson is, don't rush.
A couple of things in my experience, and Andrew might pitch in here, is that when you're a data scientist, a lot of the stuff that you're doing might be new concepts to the people you're trying to sell the idea to, and sometimes they just don't get it. What would your advice be, Andrew, in that situation to try and sell that? Because, as you say, a lot of people really don't know what they want.
Yep.
But they can tell you what they don't want, and by a process of elimination. But I find myself, I act as like an interpreter between the business and the data team, and I think that is a very important role. But I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
I think that's really important. I think a lot of data science projects end up sitting on the shelf purely because they couldn't be communicated to the stakeholders and the management. And it's the very reason why I ensured that everything I teach in my course is so focused on intuition and understanding and application, because that is one of, if not the most important skills for a data scientist, over and above all the technical skills that you do need, is the ability to communicate things to the people who will give the green light for that project to actually go into production, or to be an impact on the customers, because they own those customers. And if they don't understand it and they feel like there's a risk there, then they'll probably just say no thank you. And therefore, you as a data scientist, you're stunting your career because you're not adding value. The reason you get promoted, or you can move into a better role, is because you can show the value that you've added. So I think that's really key. The key thing for me when dealing with stakeholders who are coming from maybe a slightly less technical background is to try and understand what their KPIs are, like what are they being measured on, and try and talk to them in that language, because that's when you'll get their attention, because they'll see that you're trying to help them solve their problems, because they have as many problems as you have. It's just in a different area of the business. So if you can show them that data can help them solve their problems, rather than try and go straight in with the complexity, then you start talking their language and you get their attention. And from there, if you can start with I guess like an MVP, as a slight tangent, something I see all the time as why data science and data projects in general fall over is because people rush to go to the most complex solution. There's somebody very clever and they go, this is what we should do, and let's hit go and let's just go all guns blazing. Whereas if you put an MVP solution in, just trying to get something in place which touches all of the different parts of the business that it needs to, but it's quite simple, everyone can get a grasp of it. And once that's in place and we can see that there's some value, then let's do version 2 and let's put the complexity in. It doesn't have to happen like that, and it can't happen sometimes, but it doesn't get done enough, I think, that MVP approach in data. So start simple and then build complexity from there, even with your communication.
Do you think it's because I think there's just so much plunked under the data umbrella that actually should really be individual units of work or jobs, or for example, because we talk about data scientist, and it's actually there's a million things that are normally under a data scientist job advertisement, but it's only maybe 2 or 3 things that actually they really do. So do you think there's this expectation that everyone can do everything, and actually we need to kind of chop it up into little more smaller, manageable pieces to get the task done, rather than just giving it all to one person? Let's give it to 5 people, and they can all be a specialist in their own area.
Yeah, there are times when that is the case, and it can happen in smaller businesses where they bring in a data scientist because they think that that's going to solve all of their data issues, where even from the point of view that a data scientist, generally speaking, isn't the first person you want to get on board. It might be a data engineer, because they can bring the data in, they can get the data pipelines in place, things that most data scientists can do a little bit of, but maybe aren't comfortable enough to do it properly. They've got their specific skill set, which is doing the magical stuff with the data. But if the data's not in the right place, and the security's not right, and the format's not right, then the data scientist is going to struggle to add the value that they should be adding. And a lot of the time, that can taint the view of what data science is. People sort of lose their faith in data science because they thought that data science was the solution to everything. But in fact, it is just one part of such a big puzzle. So it can be a problem. I guess it depends company to company and role to role. But yeah.
And sometimes,
Scott,
Susan, I wonder if there's some sort of an HR issue, with trying to standardize the job descriptions. And in doing so, they're adding things like Andrew mentioned before that they're not relevant to that job. It might be to another role that they want to get into, but they want to hire 5 people, not all with the exact same skills and the exact same responsibilities, but they should all fall under the same umbrella. So they're writing the job description that would fit all of them. But during the interview process, it kind of stands out what part of the role they're looking at this one individual to perform.
Yeah.
Great.
I think what Andrew said there is absolutely right by aligning it to the KPIs, because there was somebody last week I seen, Susan, that using the 4 M's, make me more money, and basically that there is, I think, it might be productivity gain, it might be yield. Give you an example. Back in 2010 something, we done an idea on pallet optimization. Absolutely small idea. That idea snowballed into a £28 million cost saving. And what it means is having that creativity and having I think it's cultural as well, because a lot of data scientists are high value individuals and the ROI for them has to be high. And if the execs are not seeing that, then that's when it starts to get a bit of an issue. But I think you need someone in your team, going back to like Belbin's theory of teams, where you have people that generate ideas and people that put those ideas into practice.
Yeah, that's it. Not everybody can do it all. Great points there, guys. I did see a question. What level of detail do you feel is best for data analytics? In a past project I worked on, I needed to evaluate our trucking costs, and getting the detailed data from my customer was terribly challenging. In the end, I had to work with 40,000 foot data and make assumptions to achieve the result. I hear this quite a lot, actually, that supplier data is a nightmare, and normally the client has to do some kind of workaround just to get it into a usable state, which is kind of crazy, because you'd think, being the supplier, they're giving it out to lots of different customers and it would be in a pretty good shape, but it doesn't seem to be the case at all. So where are we going wrong, or not where are we going wrong, but where is it going wrong that this is still such an issue like 20 years later? People have been talking about bad, dirty, incorrect data for as long as I've been around. So why is it not getting better?
I think if you look at the big ERP systems, right, which I won't name them, but we can figure out who they are. Do they really have good data analytics in them, or is it because they're so expensive that they don't invest the time on training people properly? True. You know, for example, the question there that the guy put in about transport, if people have got EDI links in place, or electronic data interchange where they do transactions for big companies, then you can pick that up, no bother. Where it's small companies, you can actually use invoice data or deep text analysis if you've got it, and if you don't have any of that, you have to go through cabinets and pull out a copy invoices, unfortunately.
I've just seen a great question. What are some of the best ways you've seen data and analytics being used last year, in the year that shall not be named?
Well, I think around COVID, really, there's been a lot of great studies, as well as really terrible studies too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great example of a use case of data gone bad and data gone good as well. So I think that was really, to me, I think it really stood out in terms of how to visualize it and how to analyze it, and even the implications of its quality and how it's collected, and knowing all the insights on all that context in order to put the decision in place.
Yeah, I guess last year was all about COVID data, wasn't it? And I agree with George. There was some good stuff, but there was some really bad stuff as well, even right to the top of the food chain in terms of where the decisions were being made. And I'm not going to go into my thoughts too much on it, but things like measuring cases over time, but not normalizing for the number of tests that are being done, and making decisions off the back of that, from somebody who lives and breathes data every day, you see that as a problem. And I even got in touch with my local MP, and they just didn't want to hear about it. Which to me is a little bit upsetting. That's because there's these big decisions being made, and I'm trying to say, look, I'm not an expert on anything to do with the virus itself, but I have some thoughts from a data point of view, because the data should have been the North Star for all of this. And I feel like there was some misinterpretation of the data that caused that meant the decisions were being made off in ways that they probably shouldn't have. I won't go into too much more than that, but
everyone just rushed into it and just got going, which is fair enough. It had to be done, but actually, I always say, start with the end in mind. So, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to look at? So, I don't think they really thought about that when they started collecting the data, which then caused all these knock-on effect problems. If they'd sat at the start and thought, right, we need to know this, we need to be aware of X, Y, and Z, and we want to collect this, and this information, and maybe what are other countries doing? Let's see what they're doing so that we can be comparative. But actually, everyone just panicked, went and did their own thing, and it was really hard to compare like for like, and people don't trust the data. But then at the same time, we're actually talking about data and analytics a lot more. So in some ways, it's been a really good light to shine on the area.
It would be good almost to know that there was somebody in the government who was a data specialist. And I don't think that exists at the moment. Like maybe there's a role that could be really important, and they are a data literacy specialist. Maybe that's the type of role that would be best. So helping people who are in the important decisions understand the data in the best possible way, because the thing with COVID, I guess, was at the very start. I don't blame anybody for not knowing what was going on, but 6 or 7 months later, we should know what the data can and can't tell us at the very least. And, maybe a data literacy person would be a good position to have in every government around the world.
Can I just come in there? They have a thing called the Office of National Statistics. They've got some of the best brains in the UK. And the fact is, they're the guys dealing with the data. So for me, I think they do have that. It's how they tell this. Who's telling the story rather than what the story is telling you.
Maybe that's the piece that's missing.
Right.
I personally think people in a position of authority actually thought it was a cold and didn't take it seriously enough until it was too late. And the data was telling us that long before nobody acted on it. But anyway, that's... To answer the question, the best data is probably Amazon on how they are capturing everybody's data, which we will never, ever see. There's loads of hidden data that is really good that you will never see.
Oh, well, Andrew used to work at Amazon, so he probably knows about that.
I have
He's
seen
seen
it.
it. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. I've seen that. I've seen their clickstream table. Every click that customers make on the site. That was a big set of data. That was big data. That was the biggest data I've ever seen. That particular.
What, like this big?
Well,
a little bit bigger. Even.
Yeah.
Wow.
just interesting going back to remember big data back 10 years ago. Nothing's really changed. They put some big fancy titles around it. Now we're all into digital transformation and how machines are going to take over. Artificial intelligence has been out since I went to Paisley College of Technology over 34 years ago. So,
yeah, it's not coming for us soon. And, when there's new technology, there's new opportunities. You might just have to retrain or rethink. But, I am living, breathing proof that you will always need people and humans to just manually do some bits. There are some bits that you just can't automate.
I watched a person who's a networking expert. He came up with a phrase which I'm going to steal, which is be positive and test negative, which is absolutely brilliant. And the second one that he said was in 2018, the amount of growth after the original Spanish flu pandemic was unbelievable. And where we're going next, the biggest growth will be on sustainable procurement, green energy. Maybe 5G will push a lot of growth. So I'm personally hoping for pent-up demand that's going to come after May or June this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we would break it up a little bit with a wee game. So as I was driving back up to Scotland, I was seeing all the... Eddie, you're not really going to be able to play this much, but it's more for the others. But, all these beautiful Scottish names that are on the signposts as you drive in that don't actually sound anything like they read. So I thought I'd maybe show you a couple of the said signs or places, get you to tell me how you think you should pronounce it, and then I'll tell you how it should be pronounced. So I thought that might be a little bit interesting. So let's have
It's going to be tough for me.
So here we go. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Right. So Ravi, you're at the top. So why don't you go first with a guess on what you think this might be?
Lefeken.
Okay, that's good. Andrew,
Echlafiken.
close. George,
Ecleftion.
okay. And then Eddie, you can go.
Echo Feckin.
There you go. It's, oh, hang on, come on. There we go. Ecclefechan.
Mhm.
Close.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And then we have, this is my favourite one. Even I didn't know this for years myself, and I live in Scotland.
It's Milevi.
Nope.
Mingavi.
No, George.
Milgavi.
Eddie.
It's called Milgai.
Mm.
Oh,
There you go.
is this? Are these small towns? Are they?
Yeah, that's Milgai is the place at the start of the West Highland Way, which is a couple of 100-mile walk. So that's the start of it, which is literally about 3 miles from my house. Yeah.
Ah, there you go. Here we go.
Outshaggle.
No.
Outshaggle.
Ochenschagel. That sounds German.
Closer. George, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I go with Andrew Ohenschagel.
Eddie, do you know this one?
Auchenshuggle.
It's Auchenshuggle. Or Auchenshuggle. So yeah, let's do one more because I quite like them. So this one you might know if you follow rugby.
I do follow rugby, but I only really care about one team in rugby. So.
So this one, any taker?
Yeah, Havoc.
Maybe it's just Hawk.
Close.
Yeah.
Go on, Eddie. Tell them.
Hoik.
Oink. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's unfair, Susan, because we know this stuff. I wouldn't like to get someone else's vocabulary because I think we'd really struggle.
I'm getting some great comments. So yeah, I'm sure we can flip it next time they come on, and they can give me some Canadian and New Zealand and Indian names.
I could give you some good Māori names from New Zealand.
Yeah. So yeah, just introducing a bit of Scottish culture to whoever is watching if they don't already know. Thanks very much for participating. That was
fun.
Good one.
That was
This
fun.
was fun. Yes.
I have loads more, but I will save you any more. I'll save some for Scott Taylor for next week. We'll have fun with him. I'm still trying to get him to say dirty properly.
How do you say that, Susan? Can you just give us it quickly?
So dirty.
Dirty. All right.
That's it. Yeah, see, you got it. And Ed, he's in Kirkcudbright. But it's not Kirkcudbright, it's Kirkcudbright. But that's actually one of my other ones. So
Ochtermuchty.
Ochtermuchty. Yeah, there's loads of them. It's brilliant. And maybe I'll maybe do Leicestershire and Gloucestershire at some point, or Leicester, because they're quite interesting as well. If you're not from the area, yeah, Worcester sauce, definitely Worcestershire. That's another one.
Mm.
So yeah, that was my little bit of fun. So has anybody else got any questions? Do you want to talk a little bit more about your training courses, your books, your products? Anything
I think,
particular?
I think in terms of what we are doing is obviously we are in the data community and we are helping everyone here is helping. I know Andrew is into Data Science Infinity, and yeah, Andrew, we have something to announce to the folks as well. I know, but we're waiting.
You are just not even a networker, but a wheeler and dealer. You've got loads going on this year, Ravit. This is going to be your year.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. I've just started and I've just been in the, Kate, who is kind enough to put me in an advisory committee for Story by Data, and I'll be, amplifying her courses and looking into them and actually making sure that folks know about it. And
yeah, we probably mentioned the conference as well, because I think we're all speaking at it, aren't we? So we should probably plug that for Kate a little bit. Hi, Kate. She's probably picking up her kids right now, but give her a wee plug.
Yes. Oh yes, dedicated. Anytime we all are dedicated, that's what I feel. But more on what I do is obviously I'm the host of the Ravit Show, and also I closely work with authors, as you already know. So my plan through the year is obviously about sending out more books, giving out more books to the community, and making sure that the right folks grab the right book. And there's so much to read. So that will be my thing going ahead in the year, and obviously partnering with folks like Kate Strachnyi and obviously Andrew Jones, George Ficken. So my plan is obviously to go around the community and be around with everyone out there.
Great. And when is your show on?
So my next show is on the 7th of January, and we have Danny Ma and Tom Eves as my first guest this year. I have a lineup which I've already proposed in one of my posts. You were there, Andrew is there, George is there, obviously, and now Edward also would be there for sure. So I might reach out to him. So that's the plan. This is just so much fun. I think, this setup or the whole show setup, like you've started now, it kind of gets the community together and get different perspectives together. It's like I'm out here talking about books. What are the books that are coming in that might upskill, the data community that might help them in interviews and all of those stuff. And then there's Andrew who's actually preparing, who's actually training them for the interviews. So it's like a mixed batch we are going ahead with. And so it's fun. Yeah. And great you got us here today.
Tom, so how did you say Tom's surname?
Eves.
Tom Eves.
Oh, I'd say Ives.
Eves.
I'd say Ives. There we go. Great. And how can people find you, Ravit?
So people can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can be available on my email too, but LinkedIn is the best place. So go out.
We're all on LinkedIn hanging around. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Andrew, what about you? Tell us about your course. What's the plans for this year?
So I've got some plans this year to try and help more people get onto the course, different ways that you can get onto it. But yeah, high level, if you are looking to take 2021 as the year that you want to get into what is a very exciting and future-proof field, because obviously there's been some instability for a lot of people last year, then just get in touch with me on DM, DM me on LinkedIn, or visit datascienceinfinity.teachable.com, and there's all of the details there. There's feedback from students. There's more about me and why I created the course the way that I've created it. And then there's the full curriculum, everything that you need to know, but obviously get in touch with me as well, because I like to discuss this, and make sure it's right for you. Something else I want to mention, and I've not announced this or anything yet. Something that I'm doing
is special, like special.
Yeah, so and it's something that you mentioned that you're going to be touching on this year as well, Susan, which is kind of mental health. And I'm in the very early stages of creating, I'd almost call it a mini series. So it's going to be short interviews with people, but I'm getting some of the biggest names, from LinkedIn, from YouTube, the biggest names let me jump back a step. So the reason I'm doing that is that throughout 2020, I had a lot of messages from people who said they were really struggling. And that's great that people, can reach out to me, and, I will always get back to people on LinkedIn, but I even got people who were, on talking to me about how they were on the verge of committing suicide, because the pressure of everything. So I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I thought something that people often think is that the people who are at the top of the game within the data space, because that's where we interact, that things come very easy for them. So I'm going to do it's a mini series. It's going to be called The Hidden Layer, like in the neural network. But it's going to be talking to them not about the amazing things they're doing. It's going to be talking to them about the things that they struggle with, the things that they don't feel confident with, things that they face day to day that they're not comfortable with. Just very simply to show that the people at the very top of this industry, they also face things like imposter syndrome, and they also had times where they struggled. And
sure, I try to share kind of that it's not all fun. It's hard work and it goes wrong.
Definitely.
And what I want to do is I want to talk to them about those things, and they're going to be very short sort of interviews, but at the end of it, for each person, I want them to really think about what ways do they deal with that, or have they dealt with it to push through that barrier. And everyone that I'm going to talk to will have different things that they've dealt with in different ways and different levels of difficulty and whatnot. But I think it'd be nice to talk to people about things they struggle with, rather than people having this, social media persona that everything comes easy to them. And I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the people at the top of the field. I'm trying to get these people in at the moment, because I think that's really powerful, seeing that the people who you think are these shiny people at the top, that they actually have struggles and self-confidence issues and things like that. So that's something that I'll talk about a little bit more over time.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. George, what about you?
So right now, I'm just wrapping up the pre-sale for the data visualization for data storytelling, which will be in pre-sale up until January 13th. So very excited to wrap that one up, and then just invest in at least 2 more courses, ideally 4 this year. And I do want to come up with a program that I'm going to provide people from certain countries that they don't have the same, monetary budget as some of us do in the West. So to have it a bit more accessible for them, some of this content. So I think I'll just repackage it and deliver it that way. And I'm actually trying to target Latin America as well, as there seems to be quite a bit of a demand for data management, data governance knowledge from there. And so thinking of ways on how to make it more approachable for people that English is not their first language. Yeah. So that's my main focus, and then just continue with the Good Data Morning.
Brilliant. How about you, Eddie?
We are, one of the things Andrew said about the version control, we're on version 14 of Accelerated Insight, almost just ready to take that to market. You'll see a lot of activity on that. We're also looking at sustainable procurement, looking at how people can calculate their carbon footprint, and we're going to be partnering up with some people in the field that is going to be one of the big areas in the next couple of years on sustainable procurement. And also, again, actually doing some mentoring, helping some younger emerging talent coming through. Also, like yourself, try to do something around supply chain analytics. Haven't yet decided on the way that we want to do that, because it's such a big field, and try to narrow it down into one area. But what we are trying to do is just get the fundamentals right now. We've got some stuff that we've developed applications, and those applications now we're in the process of just try to bring them together now to hit the right market and get the right messaging and all that on that. So that's what we're doing now. Quite excited. But in saying that, one of the things about mental health, there's no right or wrong answer here, and people, if they're struggling, and everybody struggles, I think, Andrew, really commendable what you're doing there. Hats off. And I think if people can reach out and at least speak to someone, then that's a problem halved. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, and actually there's some comments going on as well. How are you guys dealing with stress? How are you managing your mental health? So I'm terrible. I play Candy Crush. That's my kind of sanctuary. That helps me forget everything. I should do more walking and stuff, but I got a foot injury a couple of years ago, but I should do more of that. I'm lucky that I have a great support network of friends and family and a coach. So, if I am kind of losing it, they'll snap me or slap me back into reality a little bit. but I think it's different for everyone, and that's why I think it's really great what Andrew's doing, because it's not an expert saying this is what you should do. It's, I'm a real person, this is how I dealt with it, and maybe, you know, you get someone on with a similar experience who dealt with it in a completely different way. So, you know, if there are people on at the moment who are struggling, you know, don't feel like because you're not doing what they're telling you to do that you're a failure. It's just that you haven't found the right solution for you yet. Try lots of different things to see what works.
Yeah, and don't think that what you see on social media is so don't use other people for comparison. Don't compare yourself to other people. Use other people for inspiration. Think, you know, I'd love to do what they're doing and what steps can I take to get there, but don't think I'm going to compare myself to this other person, because that's what we naturally do as humans, right? You're always looking at the people ahead of you, or the house which is nicer than yours, or whatever it may be. Yeah. We seem to do that over and over again, but be inspired by people, but don't compare yourself. And social media is a really dangerous place. And, you know, you think about this for Facebook and Instagram, but LinkedIn as well, right? It's, you know, the deep learning model that somebody created and they post up there, you know, on LinkedIn, and you go, wow, that person must be way smarter than I am. But that doesn't show you all the errors in the code that they went through, and the dodgy code which is behind it, and, you know, all of the things that they've struggled with along the way. It's just the shiny idea at the end. Don't forget that week, because they struggled to get there. They just posted the final snapshot. So
You know. Ravit, George, anything to?
No, I think that makes completely sense, because what I think Andrew has started, you know, he's planning to start, obviously, is a great initiative. And here in data community, we feel the stress, obviously. And like social media does have that power. When you put a post out there, you want to see, you know, thousands of views out there, or maybe, you know, a certain number of followers that you would want initially. But I think, and when you get into it, you start comparing, as Andrew says, and that's like a human nature that no one can be, you know, away from that. But there has to be a stoppage, or there has to be a level of comparison where you look at someone and you need to feel that, okay, that person has a different level of skills. I have a different set of skills, and I'm good at my skills. I need to make sure that I sharpen my skills and go ahead in the road, rather than having that mind block where we're talking about, oh, okay, if I'm posting something, I want the maximum traction coming in. It doesn't work that way. It might happen sometimes. You never know who's watching what. You post something today and you might just, if you're jobless, you might just get a job in just next minute, and that happens. So that is also the plus point of the social media. But don't compare, don't get into that trap where you have your mental stress. Keep your life easy, go exercise, enjoy, keep your work around there as well. Work for, you know, limited time. Don't make it like 16 hours of work. I don't do it. People think I work for 16 hours if I'm always online or something like that. I don't work for 16 hours. I work for 8 good hours, but make it more productive for yourself. Give your time. Okay, LinkedIn is there. Give that time to yourself as well, where you're giving 2 hours to the LinkedIn after work or something like that. But make it very much a good spread, where you're involving in different activities as well, more than work. So your 8 hours will be very much productive, I guess.
Yeah, to me, what works is the mindset that it is really everything. It's a learning process. So anything that you do out there, it could be that you're posting, maybe you're not getting much interaction, but that's fine. You know, I think it's part of the experience and the learning.
You never know who's watching. Just because the numbers say are low, it doesn't mean that the right person isn't watching.
Exactly.
That's a great tip. So if you've got time, there's one question that Kimberly posed that I thought was a really great question that we can answer on something a bit more positive. So what are the biggest, most common mistakes for people starting out in data science, and are there good resources available to point them out? So
I think from my perspective, sometimes people try it. Well, the classic one is people worrying that they, you know, which language should they learn? Should they learn R or should they learn Python? I think just pick one and go with it. They're both awesome. Just focus on solving problems, thinking about, you know, even for projects which you get from a data set online, always think about it from a business perspective. Turn it into a business problem, even if it's not a real problem. Like frame it in that way right through from inception to conclusion. People often think they need to learn or people often want to learn deep learning straight away, and deep learning is awesome. It's one of the coolest things to play with, but the reality is, 95% of business problems aren't solved with deep learning. In some cases, there's no other option. It's the best solution, but in a lot of cases, it's not. Don't think that you need to learn every machine learning algorithm out there. Learn, when you're starting out, learn the key ones and focus on getting a good understanding of how they work, because what you can do is you can use those for pretty much every business problem that needs machine learning. You can just tailor it the way you need to because you understand how it works. You don't need to know every possible, model. And I've seen that time and time again when interviewing data scientists. They've come in thinking that they know 20 machine learning algorithms, and for a hiring manager, you're like, so what? Show me what problems you can solve with your skills. Don't just list off skills. Those are the big ones for me.
Yeah, for me, I've got one, which is just because you have a hammer doesn't make everything a nail. So just because you've got certain skills, then you use that for everything. There's a tool for every job, and you just need to know what tool to use. Whereas everyone thinks now I'm going to do everything in machine learning. Give you an example. We tried some deep learning a couple of years ago. We got a really highly paid data scientist to do it. He said the model's good, the recall's good, the stuff's good, and the accuracy was absolutely crap. But it was a fantastic model. It was 100% whatever models do, but the output wasn't very good at all. And that's one of the pitfalls, because people think they know how to do it, but they don't know the business results. So my advice is check with the business owners first. Don't go big bang. Tune it, fine tune it, get feedback constantly. Start small and then grow big. Make sure you're on the right path. And the other one is don't be afraid to fail. You make mistakes. That's part of learning. And it's what you're trying to do is say, this is what many times we've done projects and we think, actually, there's a better way of doing that, but you're too far down the line to change it mid-flight, that you wait till the time's right to change it to the more accurate view or something like that. So
that was one of the key things I was hammered into me when working at Amazon was, don't be afraid to fail. Nobody at Amazon cares if you fail, as long as you fail fast.
Yeah.
Fail fast and fix fast.
That's also, one of the things that I've noticed that we as programmers or data governance experts or data scientists, business intelligence professionals, what have you, as humans, I think we tend to make a lot of assumptions. And I think it tends to be the default state. When we don't know something, we tend to at least make one assumption about it in order to do our work. And oftentimes it's really helpful to just ask questions too. So ask, especially the business like Eddie was mentioning, make sure you're getting their feedback and input as many times as you can.
Great. Rabbit, anything else for you?
I think more or less what the thing is here is about go network, talk to people. Talk to Andrew. Go. He's out there. He's always advising people. He's networking well. Go talk to George. Talk to you about something. If you want to get in somewhere, if I want to choose a career for myself, I'll make sure I talk to 10 people, because if I want to go in an MBA college, I'll research about it. I'll Google about it. I'll see which is the best college for me, and I'll go ahead with that. If I want to get into the data science field, then what should be my first step? Maybe reach out to the top 10 data scientists. Okay, if I can't reach out to them, maybe the top 50. So look, go talk, maybe understand where do you lie, and then make a move into the data science community. And I think it's huge. Data has various segments. We can't even imagine, because I'm coming from book world. I know we do write books in various data segments, and those segments can be confusing when you get into the career. So make sure when you want to start, go reach out to people, talk as much as you can, share your thoughts, and you get a better idea, I guess.
Great, thanks. The last thing I would say is actually data science is a huge field. So try a few different areas, because the first area that you try might not be the one that you like or you get on with, you know, and it's okay to try a few different things. You know, I've said this before, you know, when I started out after graduating, it was still a kind of job for life kind of mentality. Whereas now you can jump jobs every 2 years and nobody bats an eyelid. So, you know, try a few things and use it as stepping stones to get to where you need to, you know, think of it like that. So that's what I would add. I'd just like to say thank you guys so much for coming on my first show. I'll get you all on individually as well in the coming months. It's been
such a pleasure
fun for me. Hopefully it has been for you as well. I will
too much fun.
put you into the waiting room to say goodbye to everyone, and then I will sign off with my special little treat for you. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be on every Monday at this time. If there's anyone that you would like to see on, then, you know, send me a message, put it in the comments. I'll have a look at that. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover, I can do that as well. In the meantime, I hope that you have a really great first week of the year and that there will be good things to come. And I will see you next week. Thanks very much.